Hello, hello to all of my loved ones. How are you doing? This is Love Marlene 411 and welcome to the Sipping Chat. We're back in 2026 and we have my co-host, Miss
Hello.
Nexa.
Hello everyone. This is our first sip and chat of 2026. And by the way, happy new year Miss Marlene, and happy new year to all of your followers.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And the same thing for you, Miss Nexie. Okay, so while we've been away, I know that I should first start off with some announcements or something, but not everybody has been to this channel before. Let me do a little bit of an introduction. This channel is really based on trauma healing, and we talk about healing from abuse, from relationships, from shifting our mindset and getting more into the healing part of self love and self care, which is speaking up for ourselves, setting boundaries, self care, and getting all of the help and support that we need. And that is one of the reasons why today I wanted our topic to be based on help to heal, especially starting a new year. And this channel is all about trauma healing. Me and Miss Nexus, I don't think we've ever really talked about what like resources or what are some of the things that we can use and do to help us to get to that healing journey. So I'm gonna let Miss Nexie share you give one thing and I'll give one thing, or we can tag team it together.
Uh
So what is
let's
some
let let's do this together. I'm just kidding, Miss Marlene. Let's go. Let's go with this. You mean as far as techniques, or do you mean as far as therapy, or do you mean in general, Miss Marlene?
in general, anything, because I know when I had started my healing journey, when you have been through so much in your life, it's like, how do I put this in categories, or what do I do first? When you have so much things going on, you really need to think about what is what do I need to work on first. But honestly, I want everybody to know that there are resources out there that can help us. There's lots of things, and that's what me and Mrs. are going to talk about today.
It- y- first and foremost, I know that a lot of, we talk in this channel, Miss Marlene, and I'm sorry I jumped in right away, but I just wanted to get this, out of my mind before we go into this. I know we talk, you and I, in this channel, we try to go into what helped us, what we do, your individual journey as far as healing yourself, as far as whatever it is that you use for that purpose, to make your life better, to make you a better person. But I wanted to say first and foremost is that everybody's journey is different, right? Like everybody's, you know um, um, experiences, memories, or whatever else they go through, everybody else's are different. We might have similarities on things that can actually affect us in kind of the same way, but all of us have our experiences are so different. But the thing that I wanted to say is that for me, my healing started when I was ready to face whatever I needed to be able to get that started. And what I mean by that is I had to tell myself that I wasn't okay, that I wasn't um, someone healthy in my mind, healthy in, my body and my soul. Admitting that, I think, was the first step that I took into my healing journey, right? But nobody, I had heard from other people like, you maybe you need therapy. You know what? You can benefit from this. You know, you should, maybe you should seek some help. Maybe throughout the years, people have said certain things to me because I went through, but nothing mattered. Nothing, it didn't come from them. It came from me finally putting my foot down and biting the bullet, as they say, and accepting that I needed that help, that I needed to seek that help, and that I wanted to get better. And I think that that's what I wanted to start this with, is that nobody can tell you what you need, how to do it, when to do it, what year, what age, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can be 100, you can be 10, you can be 15. It doesn't matter. It's when you're ready to do the hard work and to actually admit that you are not okay is when everything else falls into place. And then whatever it is that you do to help you heal comes more easily, more naturally than if somebody's forcing you to go to therapy, or a job is making you seek this, or a school is making you do that. It doesn't matter who does. You have to want it for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I went on a rant here, but that's what I wanted to say, is that it's hard work. Yes. Sometimes you don't admit that you need this hard work to be able to be a better person, because sometimes in your delusions that you don't need anything because you're not broken, even though you are. You don't think anybody, you feel that nobody understands you because you're the only one that can fix you and whatever. So before you can get into the healing, part of this journey, you have to admit and you have to seek it for yourself. Nobody can make you do it. Nobody can force you. And if they do, nothing good is going to come from it.
Hmm. Yeah, I have to say for many years, Miss Nexie, I can only speak for myself. Like we always talk about, as a disclaimer to everybody, I'm not giving, telling anybody how to handle their healing journey. But what me and Miss Nexie do over here is we freely share our experiences and we don't hide from it. We talk about all of those hard topics and hard things that happen, like abuse, like cheating, being cheated on, or people, doing you wrong that brings trauma and pain and all of these things. And it's more than, like people say, oh, just forgive them. And I'm not
Hmm.
discounting see, because that is a part of the journey that you have to get to that part of forgiving. But you need more than forgiving. Like you said, the first step is admitting that you're not okay. And
Hmm.
you need something about that. And I'm only speaking for myself. For so many years, I always would be like, I'm okay because I grew up not feeling free to say I'm not okay. Like you were always like, oh, we don't talk about things, or if you talk
Hmm.
about stuff, or you're too sensitive, or you're crazy. We get labeled from society, in our families, and all of that. We do get labeled, but what counts the most at the end of the day is for us making ourselves happy because we have to live in our skin, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Ms. Martin. And I know that you and I come from very similar culture and background and everything in between. And I know that a lot of times people, at least on my part, Miss Marlene, on my side, I know that, my family and immediate and extended, but mostly, extended. Um, why are you telling people your business? Why do somebody else has to hear your business? That's between you and the family. Why do you have to go talk about us with anybody else? Why do you have to, throw your dirty laundry out there for somebody else to know your business. That's wrong. That's not the way we handle it in the family. Those things were said to me a lot of times. But you're not talking about me, are you? You're not mentioning my name. It's like, this is not the CIA. This is just a therapist. And I'm talking about me, my experiences, my problems, my traumas, whatever. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, they're always trying to make you not talk about whatever it is that you need to talk about, because of the family thing, that you're supposed to keep it in the family. Nobody's supposed to know about whatever goes, in this wonderful families of ours. Now, I know a lot of people, and again, Miss Marlene, you said the disclaimer earlier, and yes, you and I talk about the experiences we had, what we had to do, the hard road that we had ahead of us, when we said when we admitted to ourselves that we needed therapy, that we needed help, right? Whatever that kind of help was. But once we admitted it to ourselves, then everything else just opened up, because we started looking for that help we needed. But in in this journey, we're not telling people, even though you and I talk about our experiences and everything, that what they need to do, as you said earlier. We're not saying, you have to go get it, you have to talk about it, you have to, because it might not be something that it will work for them, right? What we're trying to say is that you're not alone. And we're not therapists, as you said in the beginning. We're not. But we have so much experience in our craziness, in
Yeah.
our trauma, and in our crazy family, that we can tell people, no matter what, you can always help yourself. You can always get whatever it is that you need, if you want it hard enough. I think that's what we're trying. If you want to be healthy, mind and everything else, you have to want that. And you can get it once you're ready for it. And you can get better, and you can be happier, and you can feel more complete once you do that. But we're not, we don't have any degrees or anything like that. We just have our life experiences, right? And we hope, you and I, always, that somebody can get help from whatever it is that we talk about. Somebody that is probably not feeling its best can probably just hearing us with our experience, with our everything that we've gone through, and the place that we're at now, can hopefully find hope. And whatever, anyway, they have to, right? We just want that the somebody with our sip and chats, and our, you know nice talks, and our trying to help ourselves, somebody can get a little bit from us and get hope that there is a better way to do things. And forgiveness, as you said earlier, a lot of times I thought that forgiving them was going to give me that, okay, everything is okay now, since I've forgiven them and they asked me and I gave them my forgiveness, I can go on and I can live happy. And it's not like that. Forgiving someone, you can only do it once you worked on that particular part or area of your whatever it is that you had going on with this person. Whatever they did to you, you have to work it out and then forgive them, because you have already forgiven yourself on whatever happened, right?
Right.
But
For me,
forgiveness only works that way. hmm Go, Miss Marlene. Go.
Miss Nexie, when I forgive other people and myself, it's that I make peace with the situation. Not
hmm
that I'm okay, but I'm at peace that I don't allow them to for me to be in a prison of that pain, or for me to vibrate in negativity and anger. I free myself and I put the situation and myself at peace, saying that I deserve to be at peace. I deserve to let things go, and I deserve to be my best self. And we can't be our best self, Miss Nexie and chat. We
hmm
can't. It's absolutely impossible to be our best self if we are holding some grudge and anger and resentment against people who hurt us.
mm Well said, Miss Marlene. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well said. And that's the thing that I had to learn, Miss Marlene, is that if I was going to, like, I will forgive someone, but then I will bring it up again. Or in a little, argument, I will throw it in their face again. And it's like, okay, so how is it that you have forgiven them and you keep on bringing it up and throwing it on themselves? That means you haven't done the work. And that's when my therapist said that, yeah, you are forgiven, but just, word of mouth. I forgive you. That's it. But you're not doing anything to really, really get that out of your chest, talk it out, and let it go. You're forgiving, but you're not letting go. And one thing that I had to learn to, Miss Marlene, and I shouldn't say learn. I think I had to come to an understanding with myself is that just saying I'm not going to talk to this person anymore, right? Or I'm going to remove them from my life. My life, I'm sorry. I'm going to not be around them even if their family. I'm going to just ignore everything that happened and just block them out of my life. What I had to learn is that that doesn't do anything for either one of you, right? For me or for that person. I had to kind of learn that I had to talk through whatever it is that hurt me, the what it did to me with that person, not with everybody else, with that person. I had to clear it up and let them, kind of hear why I was taking the decision of removing myself from that toxic, relationship, family, life, or whatever, and why I was going to from now on be in peace and not have anything to do with them. And in my mind, I said, you know what? If I do that, hopefully they will understand the reason why and not do it again to somebody else. Maybe they'll learn, right? So I had to learn to do that, not just cancel it and I don't want anything to do with you. I will talk to them, say, you're hurting me because you're doing this, and you're saying this and that, and I don't like it. And then, please stop. And I will go on. And if they did it again, that will say, that's it, I'm done. I already spoke to you. You don't seem to get it. I don't want to be going through this cycle anymore. So I will block them at that point out of my
Mhm.
life. Right. But I had to learn to do that because I was just ignoring, moving on, not saying anything. And people didn't even know why. And I don't mean uh anyone. I mean the people that matter to me, right? My family, people that was they were gonna be in my life forever, or as long as I was here in this, I'm here in this earth. So I had to learn to do that, and that was hard for me because I was like, they should know, right? They should know.
Mhm.
It's a matter of fact, you and I think we're talking about something like this the other day. They should know what they did. They should know what they did. But then they do so much that they probably don't even know what they did or why we're upset. And they continue to do it. So I had to learn to communicate better what I didn't like and why this was happening. And after that, I forgive them and I'll move on. And
Yes,
that's what I've
Miss.
been doing for a very long time, Miss Marlene.
Oh, and I'm so happy for you for that, Miss Nexty, and anybody who is listening, whether you're live now or in the replay. It takes courage to heal. And
Hmm.
anybody who has ever been through like some traumatic things, some very hurtful things, um, um, people just doing things out of jealousy or anger or immaturity, low vibrational, or just some people are just wicked and they
Mm.
will do that is very hurtful to us. And when we finally say we're going to confront it, we're not hiding from it because that is a real thing that you try to suppress things, ignore it, or pretend in your mind like it didn't happen. Pushing things to the background and ignoring it does not work. Trust me, Miss Next, tried it.
Me too. Miss Marlene, I was I was reading. I took a couple of like days that I was going through some stuff. I'm cleaning, my clutter, my house. I'm decluttering my house, and I found some books, and I was going through them and going through my notes, that I had made on the passages or whatever. And the one thing that I'm noticing from, 20 years back, 15 years back, as I'm going through all of this, is how my mind and my communication skills have so much improved, throughout this whole time. How I am more brave now to face things and say it right away what I like and don't like, compared to back in those days, because I was reading some things that I was journaling, and again, I was, if something will call to me on that particular passage, I will say, if so and so, so and so did kind of this to me and it hurts, and I wish I could say something, or I had this little notes everywhere on certain books, and I was like, wow, I was already thinking back then how hurtful it was for this person to be like this, but I wasn't saying anything. And then going through time, it took me 15 years from that note to actually sit down with this person and say, I'm done, and this is the reason why. And I had not read that. Like I said, I just did this a couple of days ago, and I'm thinking, this is so wonderful, because that this would have never happened had I not seek the help I needed, right? This would have never happened d- if I had not, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, knew that I needed therapy, that I needed that help, that I needed to heal. And then I started thinking, so this is what healing looks like and feels like. I'm
Mhm.
not hiding anymore. I'm not just writing it down. I'm saying it. I'm voicing it. I'm asking for my needs. I'm stating my needs now. I'm not just, writing it down, keeping it to myself, or saying it in my head or out loud to myself, but not to that person. Now I'm confronting what was uncomfortable for me back then. It is not now, but I'm in my mind. I was saying, "Oh, I've come so far ahead from that timid little person that thought that confronting someone that was family was going to be bad, or was going to be sinful, or was going to be reproachable, or I was going to be hated for it, right? I've come this far, and I have around me, surrounding me, people that I want, love, and appreciate and respect in my life.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference right there, Miss Nexie. When you're in this healing zone, the healing space is that you understand that you are going to be choosing yourself. It's like for the first time in your life, maybe you have been surrounded by that toxic energy. And I don't know who has been raised like myself and Miss where you felt like you had to do these toxic things or participate in toxicity because they were toxic and dysfunctional and angry or lazy and jealous and all these things. And we're not saying this to make fun of people in our lives, but we are calling it out and
Hmm.
saying now we're not allowing this behavior anymore like we used to. We will no longer participate in the anger and the using and the disrespect and it being like it's okay because of a label of a family or a label of friendship or the label of whoever people are in our lives, that's not good enough because they're older or because you've known them your whole life. That's not the escape. That's not the escape. That's not. We're just not going to say, oh, because you're my sibling or parent or friend or husband or wife or whoever they, it does not make it okay. You cannot keep hurting me, and I'm going to keep taking it.
Mm, exactly. Miss Marlene, I have to say something here right now. It's off topic, but we didn't even ask each other what we were sipping on.
Oh
We
my
just
goodness.
jumped in.
Let's see. Let's do like the rewind.
I was just thinking we're so happy to be back.
Okay, Miss Nexty, rewind. Rewind.
Rewind.
Okay.
Let's rewind. Let's rewind. Let's rewind.
Miss Nexty, how are you doing? Welcome to the Sipping.
Well, Miss Marlene, thank you for having me. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Amazing. Okay, on the Sipping Chat where we talk about, what we're drinking, what we're sipping on. So I want to ask you, what are you sipping on, Miss Nexty?
Well, I'm sipping on a nice ice cold, and I know it's winter, but I have this lots of ice on a cran grape juice.
Ooh. Miss Nexty,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just put my pinky up. Like you guys could see it. Yeah. Got my pinky up because oh fancy.
It's ice. Yeah, I love it with a lot of ice, and I know it's cold, but I had this craving, and I said, there's cramped grape juice. My son loves it, and I said I'm gonna grab myself, a glass of that, and that's what I'm sipping on. What are you sipping on, Miss Marlene?
Miss Nexty, I do not have anything as fancy as you, but I well maybe well okay, I guess I am a little fancy. So
Oh,
I
la
have
la.
Publix brand, and for you guys who are not in Florida or in the South, Publix is a grocery store and they sell their brands of lemonade. And I'm having blackberry lemonade. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow! I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
Blackberry lemonade?
Miss Nexie, you'll love it. Okay,
I love
I'll give
blackberries, but I'm sorry to interrupt, Miss Marlene, but this is new for me because I've never seen blackberry lemonade. Like I've never had that either,
let me
but I
give
never
you
seen it here. Hmm.
a little description. Okay, it's like think of a mixture of lemonade, Welch's grape juice, and Kool-Aid all together. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that sounds so good. Is it
That's
cold? Do you have it over ice or just
cold,
like
Miss
that?
Next. Cold.
Ooh, that sounds good. That
I'm a little
sounds
fan.
really good.
What are you guys sipping on in the chat? I see Realist says Realist sipping on some wine. Okay,
Ooh, nice. We're on our way, realist. On our way.
our way. I make it a little tipsy, sexy. I make it, but that's okay because the cameras are off, so you guys don't know how I'm looking. You don't know if my eyes are crossed and things. So I think
Yes,
I'm
we
good.
don't. We're good. We should go, but right now we got to finish up with our sip and chat. Continue on. Continue on. Miss Marlene, I wanted to bring something up. I was reading something the other day. One of my nieces from back home sent me this article that one of her friends wrote. um she's a psychologist back home, and she, I don't know, she did something, a competition, and she wrote something about family and all of that. But I was reading And again, we're not therapists, we're nothing, not even close, right? But we have gone through that therapy phase, and it's something that it's very rewarding for some, maybe not for all, but for some. And I was reading what this young lady was writing about, the all of the ups and downs in her life, the traumas, and how she overcame everything. And again, she was focusing on rapid eye movement therapy. That was her article about. That's what she was talking about, and saying how that had helped her a lot with traumas that she had as a child, living in a family unit where father was an alcoholic, and kind of like uh, with a lot of spousal problems,
Yeah.
right? And so she's talking about this, and saying how that helped her, and how it's something that she would have never thought that was going to bring a lot of all that to the surface and allow her to heal from that, right? Not to forget, but to heal from all of that trauma that she lived as a child to probably young adulthood. And I was reading and thinking about how if how wonderful it is that our the next generation, right, from us and our family, and people around us that are friends but are considered family members, how beautiful it is that they are understanding, and they are learning, and they're trying to heal themselves so that the next generation after that can be in a better place than we were, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of us, and this is something that I have always thought about, as far as dealing with my family. And I'm gonna go from reading her article to about me now. um a lot of people, Miss Marlene, when they come from turmoil in a family unit, a lot of us tend to kind of like push our parents away, right? Push our grandparents away, or whoever raised us. We tend to do that, push them away, because now we're in this journey, we're healing, we're trying to do all of this, and they did this and they did that, and we hardly ever, and this is on me as well. And again, this is something that through therapy I had to kind of go deep into and learn and understand and own that I have been that person that was, you know, judging and not understanding that they were doing the best they could. But a lot of us have the tendency of, once we start this healing journey, we push those people or bring the receipts on them or judge them, and they did this and they did that, and they weren't there when I needed them. They I had to do everything on my own, and this, and we're judging everything wrong. We're bringing up everything wrong that they did to us, right? And what we never, or hardly ever, I should say, not never, because I shouldn't say that, but we hardly ever think of, they were doing the best they could
But Miss,
with
but it doesn't feel
whatever trauma
that.
they had, right?
But Miss Nexie, it doesn't feel like that.
No,
It doesn't.
yeah, no, no. That's what I'm saying. Like I was judging, but this is where I'm going with this, is that I was being that person, Miss Marlene, saying, oh, she could have done so much better by me. She could have, she should have never did this, she should have did that, and she should have talked to me, blah, 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 blah. But what I wasn't thinking is that this, whoever did this, right, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, whoever, my aunties, I wasn't thinking of their point of view, meaning they didn't have the advances, the tools, the resources, and or the education that we have here now, right? They came from trauma. They weren't even dealing with their own trauma. So they were doing the best they could with all the trauma they had, with all the pain and all the hurt and all the things that went on in their life. They were trying to do the best they could for me, or with me, but I was always judging. So I had to learn to take a couple of steps back, see it from the perspective of, okay, I understand. They didn't know that you had to talk to your children first, right? Before you beat them up. Or they didn't think before they spoke, because that's the way they were brought up. And they did this to me, but maybe not from hate or anything, but because they didn't have the ability to see it any other way. So I had to kind of put myself there and then talk and say, you hurt me in this area, not excuse what they did, because I can't, right? I cannot do that. But I did talk and say, when you did this, I felt this way, and I will just go on and on and on. And then I said, but I understand now. That doesn't mean I will allow you to continue to hurt me, right? I'm not going to allow you to continue to be that person to me. That's on you. But, I understand a little bit of why you were the way you were with me, and I try to do better for my kids. That doesn't mean they don't find anything to throw back at me that I didn't do the right way. But I think that we forget sometimes that the people that gave life to us, that raised us and everything, they're not perfect. They have a lot of imperfections, and they do things according to the way they were raised.
Right. But Miss Nexie, I want to interject and say this, because I said this in the comment section that we all judge others, right? And Reala says one way or another. I suppose so. Reala says the only difference is the ones who spend every and all day doing it, but we all have
Hmm.
our moments, and it's the prejudgment that some people tend to do. That's what Sirius says. And my stance on it is that we're all different. We have different personalities. We're gonna rub each other the wrong way sometimes.
Hmm.
But the thing about it is that I learned throughout my healing journey is to allow people to be themselves, and then I have to expect the same thing as well. If I want people to let me be myself, I also have to let them be themselves. And it's kind of irritating, but I had to learn to stop trying to control other people, that they have to fit into my mold and they have to be what I like. Allow people to be themselves, and then I make the choice in my healed state that do I want them to participate in my life or no? That's the
I,
difference now with me. I can't speak for everybody, um, but that's how it has been for me since I am on this healing journey, which I believe it's your whole entire life. You should be working towards doing better, learning, growing, communicating, and things like that. But I had to learn, just like you, Miss Nexie, to take a step back and to not just assume that you know or what other people want to do. You be yourself, but also I had to learn to not be rude, to not be controlling, and to also communicate with other people and not make those assumptions like they should know how I feel and things like.
yeah. Exactly, Ms. Marlene, exactly. And that is, I learned as again, I wasn't raised by my mother. I was raised by my dad and my older sister and the rest of my siblings, 'cause I was the youngest of the family. But, in my as I was growing up, I was judging my mom one way or another, right? That, how could she leave me? I was so little, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe it. Once I got to know her, I didn't like, the way she treated me. And to this day, I still sometimes don't like it. But then as I was going through therapy, I started, my therapist was talking to me. We're talking about that. And at first, of course, I've said it before, Miss Marlene, that didn't affect me at all. In my mind, her leaving me, being abandoned by her, had not affected me in the least. And the therapist is like, uh-huh, all right, okay.
Miss Nexie
I'll give you a
alleged,
minute.
Miss Nexie allegedly, right? Hmm.
Exactly, Miss Marlene, allegedly. But so I was judging her in that, just left. She didn't care. She probably didn't love me enough and it didn't affect me, whatever. But as I was going through my therapy and I was trying to heal myself, I'm a mother, right? I have four kiddos, and I will look at my kids and say, how could I would say my kids, it was same age as I was. How could she just leave and leave me there? Like, why? How could she do it? She has no heart. She has no this. She didn't care. She never loved us. She never. I will say all these things in my head and sometimes out loud, kind of like condemning her for doing that. As I got to know her, I learned the way when she was 6 years old. She wasn't
Mm,
raised by a mother. She was an orphan and she had a dad, but he wasn't in the right state of mind to raise three kids. So they were given out like puppies. Here, the one for you, one for you, and they were separated. And my youngest aunt, her younger sister, ended up in an orphanage. But I had to learn that it's not that she didn't care. It's not that she didn't love me. It's not that it was easy for her to do that. I had to understand and I had to learn that she couldn't probably attach, and she cannot attach to anyone because she probably doesn't want to hurt the same way she hurt it when her mom wasn't there, when she lost her mom, and she probably couldn't connect. So I had to work all those milestones and try to climb as much as I could on top of all that, and understand that, again, she did the best she could. And in her head, she was probably saying she's better off without me, right?
yeah.
And if she doesn't get attached to me and something happens to me, then she won't hurt the way I did with my mother. All those things I had to pretty much go on and say them because I was, again, not resentful because I wasn't, but I was judging her a lot. And I had to forgive myself for all the times that I had judged her like that without knowing her story, and for all the times that I did not like her, all the times that I ignored her, all the times that will say not disrespectful things, but I will make hurtful comments, right? And so I had to ask her for forgiveness, and I had to learn to understand that, and that's when it came to me that she will never be able to love me the way that I love her. And I had to learn to understand and accept that if I wanted her in my life, I had to be okay with the fact that she will never be able to connect with me the same way I connected with my children or with my sisters or with my dad.
Mhm.
And by accepting that, I was able to have her in my life, right? I know there's a lot of things that, she does that sometimes, oh my God, I already told you 1,000 times not to do that, but you continue to. I had to accept that I cannot change her. She is who she is. I cannot ask her to go to therapy and get better because she will never accept that. And she says that only crazy people do that. So I had to accept that it's okay not to be okay with her the way she is. But I had to be okay with me to allow her only to a certain extent to affect me. because it was going to affect me one way or another before it will affect me a lot. But I had to make different concessions in our relationship to say, okay, it's going to affect me. It's going to bother me the way she is, but I'm just going to let her bother me this much because I'm going to try to not ignore her, not visit, not love her, just let her go. No, I'm going to try to work around all of the turmoil in her heart and in her mind and try to be okay with myself and be respectful, but not allowing disrespect from her like I used to before.
Yeah. My thing is, I had a wonderful therapist that taught me that you have to love people past their pain, not your pain. You think sometimes about the people in your life and that get on your nerves. Think about some of the things that they may have dealt with that has been very heavy, and not everybody has good coping skills. Not
Hmm.
everybody the space where they've learned about self awareness and boundaries and communication. So we can expect for people to give us, you know, give
Hmm.
us like are. We can't expect for people to treat us the way we treat them. We have to allow them to be themselves, and then you make the decision if you want to have those individuals in your life.
Yeah, and the time you want, like, do you want them a lot? Do you want them very involved, or do you want to keep them at a distance, right? And that's what I had to learn, Miss Marlene, is that I had to advocate to her that she had to respect me. She had to respect the rules in my house the same way I respected the rules in her house, right? I had to sit down with her and kind of say, look, these are my kids. You have a say because they're your grandchildren, but you cannot override me, right? You cannot say, "Oh, it's okay, you do it." Your mom said no, but you can go ahead. So I had to kind of sit down with her and say, "Look, we have to be respectful to one another because," and I did say this to her, because if not, we're gonna lose the relationship altogether. Because I have no problem, mm, hardening my heart and say, "Okay, I'm done with you. That's it. You do you, and that's it. I want to know about you. I don't need you in my life." I can go there, right? But I'm thinking, I'm going through therapy. I need to change that before I say I'm letting go. I need to talk to her. It was the hardest thing to do, Miss Marlene, because she is someone that if you say just one thing negative that she does, she explodes, and then she
Mhm,
starts going crazy on you, and that you're this and you're that, and she cannot believe it, and you know what I mean, like she goes all out. So I had to kind of let her vent that way and then sit her back down and say, listen, you have to sit down, we need to talk this through, because if not, we're not going to have a relationship, right? And I had
mhm,
to stand up and say, hey, we need to work at this together. It's not just going to be me anymore. You have to do your end of the bargain too, right? Whether you like what I'm saying or not like what I'm saying, as long as we're not disrespecting each other, we both have opinions. We both have our own way of thinking, right? We all have the way we deal with life differently. That doesn't mean you can disrespect me and say everything that I'm doing wrong, or
mhm,
how horrible of a human being I am because I am helping, I don't know, somebody else and not you at this moment, because, it's not all about you. So I had to do all of that work, something that before therapy, I wasn't willing to do. And I wasn't there to understand that I needed to have, this rules and regulations and set these boundaries and have this so hard of a conversation with her, because a lot of things come up that you don't understand those, rage sometimes, because it does. Sometimes you get so upset because you bring everything from the past and you just want to shake them and say, come on, work with me. If anybody should be begging me to have a relationship with her, it should be you, right? Because I will have those moments, Miss Marlene. But then I said, you know what? She doesn't she doesn't have the ability to see that because she's not healthy, right? So I have to be the grown up here. I have to be the mom. I had to switch to mom mode so that she could understand what I was coming from. And I I'm seeing a lot, with this new generations, a lot of canceling your parents, right? Ignoring them, pushing them away, blaming them for everything. And this cancel culture, and they're canceling their culture because they need their parents too. The same way, even our dysfunctional parents, we needed them, right? It's a form of growth. But I'm seeing that a lot of, the youth nowadays is literally not, their friends are more important than their parents. They don't even bring the kids around sometimes their grandparents and teach them to love them. They don't care. And I'm seeing this a lot,
Miss
in
Nick,
this new generation.
let's see, I'm seeing it over here on my side too. And what it is that the next generation, that's what I call them, the next one, the next, I feel that they feel that whatever it is that they want to do, they're not going by traditions or what other people have said how things should be. They're doing exactly what they want. They don't care who it hurts. They don't care about other people's feelings. They don't care about anybody but themselves until they need you.
Yeah. And
That's
Miss Marlene, it's true. That is so true. But this is the thing that, I'm seeing is someone that, we come from a generation still where our grandparents were kind of like our parents.
hmm
We had the extended family was huge. Even if it was a little bit toxic, whatever, we cared for one another. We looked out for each other. We protected, we took care, we did whatever, and we still do, right, to this day. What I'm seeing with this new the next generation, I'm going to say it now, with the next generation, is that it's not just affecting them right now. What's going to happen is everything that they are doing, the canceling culture, is going to affect generation after generation after generation. You know what I mean? It doesn't stop just at the next. Because if they don't care right now, imagine their offsprings as they get older.
hmm
It's this, it's something that is scary, and it saddens me because I have coworkers that have become friends, good friends, that have grandchildren that they don't see but once every 7 or 8 years.
Yep.
And they only live 5 hours away from one another. But because they don't get invited, they don't get included. The kids have graduations, have this, and the grandparents are not even included. They have
Mhm.
birthdays, trips, and they don't even, not an invitation, not at Christmas. We're gonna get together with our grandparents. We're gonna go, nothing like that,
But
and it saddens me.
You know what, Miss Nexty, what I think is the underlying issue for the next generation, and this, like I said, this is Marlene's opinion. This is not Nexty's or anybody else's. I believe that the next generation, the things that they saw growing up that they didn't agree with, they are standing firm on. Like, I don't like it.
Hmm.
I don't care who these people, they do not confront the problem. They just
Yes.
they just cancel you. It's like, okay. Whatever a person did, they're like, okay, now I'm grown, I'm done with you, and then that's it. They'll never deal with
Yeah.
you again. And what that's doing is, now they're the adults. Now they have children. Now their children are going to grow up not knowing any of their whatever side of the family that it's coming from. They don't know one another, and they're okay with it. They don't care. For them, they feel like their friends, quote unquote, are the family.
Hmm.
So
Their friends are more important than their family. Yes.
so to each his or her own, I'm not saying anything, but for me, I think it's very disheartening to know that children can grow up and not know anybody on their, in their bloodline. Like they don't know
Hmm.
grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. They don't bring them around. It's like what do they call them? The babies who were born during the 19. Um, they because they grew up isolated, keeping that child, just them and the parents, that that literally has not gone away, Miss Nexie. Hasn't gone
Yeah.
away.
And Miss Marlene, I just found this lady that I really like. She's I think she's a therapist. I'm not sure, and um the reason why I'm bringing her up is because she was talking about um same thing that we're talking about right now, but how everybody is so in their own little space, right? Like same thing you're saying right now, that since 2019, 2020, everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody is, instead of this, whatever happened from that pandemic, and this is my opinion, not hers. I'm saying, instead of saying, hey, it's over, we lost so many people. A lot of people lost a lot of family, and we in return did too, right? It's friends that were families, we have lost friends too with this pandemic, but instead of getting us closer together, it has pushed us further apart. And what I'm seeing a lot, and she brought this up because, and that's what caught my attention, is that she said that um what she's seeing is this trend of um I'm going to cancel you out, right? And I'm going to focus on my healing, on me, and it's everything about me. She says, but that's not healing, because you're not speaking what's bothering you. You're not confronting that person. I don't mean in an argument, right? And I don't remember her name. I don't want to say too much because I don't remember the name of this lady. That I'm gonna try to find it and send you something so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. But she says that's not healing because you're not confronting the problem. You're not fixing what's happening between the two, or the reason why the rift is there between the family members or the friendship or whatever it is. You're just saying, I'm canceling you out, I don't care what you have to say, I'm just going to keep to myself and I'm going to go on with life. But you haven't fixed that. That's not healing. That's just covering up and pretending it's a healing process. It says because to grow and to heal, we need to confront this. And I don't mean a confrontation of hitting anyone, but meaning you need to talk about it. You need to fix it in a way that allows you to, whether it breaks completely, you continue a nice relationship, whatever it is that happens, but you need to speak it out. You need to kind of understand where either one of you went wrong and why, so that you can heal inside and continue on not making the same mistake. That's
Miss
what I understood from what she was saying. Kind of like, we're not healing really. We're just saying, I don't want to talk about it, and that's it. And I'm gonna think about me, and it's all about me, and I don't care about anybody else as long as I'm okay with it. And because other people, she says, are that are not probably therapists, or sometimes they are, but or friends are, saying, yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. Go ahead. Yeah, you do you. People do that. So they're even, giving you more courage to pretty much not deal with the pain, the discomfort. and the healing process that will actually take place if you confront the situation.
Miss Nexie, I agree with that and I don't agree with it. Okay.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, part of me, yes, I believe that you should have conversations and you should tell people that that they're hurting you and things like that. But also, on the other side, I agree with what Sirius is saying in the chat that if you try to address it, you can be cast as an outsider. You become the black sheep when you are the one that is the catalyst for change. And you're saying, your toxicity and using and disrespect won't be tolerated anymore. And we're going to communicate with any time that, change starts happening, a shift, and you're pivoting more towards the healing part, there are going to be individuals that are like, no, 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 this is how it's always been, and we are not going to make any changes. This is how it's going to be. So that's why I said I'm in agreement with both sides, your side and Spirit, that we have to understand that when you do start changing and when you do confront people and set boundaries, there are going to be people who are going to cast you aside, ignore you now, not want to talk to you anymore because they're not willing to be on board with the healing and the personal growth and development. They want to do whatever they want to do, use you, disrespect you, not make changes. And those are individuals, in my opinion, not saying Nexie or Sirius or anybody else, in Marlene's opinion, individuals that know how you feel about things and still continue to do it are not individuals that I allow in my life anymore.
Oh no, no, yeah, no, I understand that. No, and I think that's the whole point. I don't think she was trying to say that you have to keep him. I think that she's saying if you don't if you don't confront this person, meaning if you don't say this is the reason why, this is how I feel, you just move on without addressing what the problem is, you yourself don't heal. I think that
Hmm.
that's what that she was trying to say, and that's how I took it, right? That you have to pretty much not just cancel and say I don't need to know, I don't care, whatever. This is only about me. I think that what she's trying to say is that because you don't do these things, families are splitting up even more because you don't want to deal with the elephant in the room. So
But
instead
but
of saying, as a family, we're going to see what's going on and the reason why we're splitting and hopefully not make the same mistake on our next generation, as Ms. Marlene says it, what they're doing is, I don't care, I don't care. And then it comes back again and it goes on the next generation, and
yeah,
families are becoming further and further apart. And I do believe in that, right? That we have to, especially people that are we loved, and people that have been in our life for a very long time. You have to kind of address it. That doesn't mean you have to keep them in your life, but I think that her message was, because we're not healing ourselves properly, then we go on and make the same mistakes with our families later on. I think
yes,
that was the message that I took from that. I mean, no, no, that's the message I took from that. And I think that's what she was trying to say. And it's true. A lot of times we just, okay, I'm not going to talk to this person anymore. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And then you come, like a friend that does something to you and you don't confront it. You just say, I'm not going to talk to her anymore. That's it. And then you meet somebody else and this person kind of reminds you on an action of that other person. And then you cancel that friend again. And they don't even know why. Right. And you don't even know why you did this again, because, it becomes easier and easier for you to cancel everybody. And I think that's what she was trying to say, is that we have to heal ourselves in the best way we can so that these mistakes don't continue to happen, because it affects, again, generations to come. And we see it in our daily lives, with I see my sisters and the way they are with their kids, and I see, my nieces and nephews, and seeing my daughters now, especially the one that has the baby already, how they deal with. their family, their extended family. And I see a lot of traits of my sister, the way she used to deal with us in her kids. And I see how my daughter also talks to her child, sometimes the way I used to talk to her. And that's things that I used to do with them, like, okay, let's talk about this, let's not do that. And how she explains. So I see those things and I figure, talking about it, healing ourselves can help the next generation.
Yes, Miss Nexie, but you know what? What happens a lot of times in
Mhm.
having these conversations about healing, a healing journey, and what we're not going to tolerate anymore, and boundaries, and self love and self worth, is that
Mhm.
for so many years, for so many generations past, it was not acceptable to talk about those things like you're going way back like your great 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 grandparents like they didn't talk about those things
Mm-mm.
and I still am at this space in my life where I don't understand when you're trying to tell somebody, say somebody who's older than you, an aunt, grandparents, whoever, somebody older, they feel when you are expressing yourself to them, tell them how you feel that you're rude.
You're
I
attacking them.
I never have understood that. Like, how am I being rude when I'm telling you that when you say or do this, it's how it makes me feel? They make it seem like because they're older, you can't have any choices. You have to do
Hmm.
exactly what I want you to do. And if you don't like it, then it's tough. And
Mm.
that mindset will continue to keep people separated, not only in mindset, but also in broken communities. Because when we have strong families, we have strong communities that make up a strong world. And when there is disunity just in your immediate circle of people, if you can't get along with people that you know them and you can't get along, how can you expect to get along with people on the outside?
Hmm. Yeah, it's true, Miss Marlene, and I actually agree. I have, aunties that are like in their 80s now, and you say something to them like, you always say this, like you're always, why are you talking to this child like that? You shouldn't do that. And they feel like you're attacking them because you're bringing up, a behavior that is not right, it's not correct. You tell them, yeah, you used to talk to me like that, but this child is younger, is at different times. You have to change the way you talk to them or whatever, because if not, blah 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 blah, and they get upset because they feel that you are attacking them, you're
Mm,
confronting them, you're saying that they are wrong, that they're broken, and it's a conversation, it's not an attack, right? But yeah, some people is Sirius said earlier, they are stuck in their ways. Right, we cannot change them, but we can change ourselves and say, you know what, I already talked to you, okay, it's out of my chest, out of my system. Now I go on with my life, whatever. If you don't get invited, now you know why. If I don't
mhm,
visit you, now you know why. I already told you in that time that you said I was attacking you with my words. Okay, this is the reason why. And then you heal, right? You go on and you try not to become that person.
mhm. And that's the thing. That's what we're talking about. Sometimes I believe that healing causes separation. That once you try to make some attempts to tell people how their actions, how their behaviors make you feel, what they're doing to not support you, or the treatment that they give you, it's causing pain and trauma and things to you. I had to inform somebody in my life recently about that. Your actions that yes, while as an adult, you can always do what you want, but your actions affect me. And they were looking like, what are you even talking about? They didn't understand that when they do things and you make bad decisions, then you turn around and need support from your bad decisions. Like now you need support because you didn't do the right things. And I'm at the space where I'm tired of that. I'm not going to keep bailing you out because you have never grown up or you don't know how to control your anger. I can't handle that anymore. Like, I no longer will participate with people who cannot have control of themselves.
Healed, right? When you're able, I see that even though I'm younger than right, I should be the one asking advice or whatever from you. But even though I am younger, you continue to act like you're my age. Like I should be acting, right? But I'm not because I took the time to go to therapy. I took the time to heal me. I took the time to try to be a better version of me. And you're still stuck in the same person, continuing to deal with you and saving you and rescuing you. And whatever it is that I have to do, it's always about you and it's never about me. That's how you know that you're healing inside. Because before you wouldn't even think about that, you would just help.
Hmm.
You wouldn't say anything. You would just, okay, here's the money, or what do you need? Whatever. You would just, even if it bother you, you would still do it. But now, you're healing. Now you understand. You can say, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah,
Now you're putting you first.
I think honestly that is the difference. That's the key. Um, and we got all the way off track for a little bit. Let's get back a little bit, Miss Nexie, before we end and talk about some things that will help people to heal. We talked about a few things, but I want to also talk about some resources. Like, there's things in the community. I don't know if you guys know, but I did insurance for a little while, and sometimes there are, when you have your health insurance, you can get 3 to 4 visits with a therapist, and that is what you're already paying for. You don't have to pay any more out of your pocket. So that's one thing that I want to bring out, a resource to help you. You don't have to eh, like go to them every week, but maybe you get a seasonal support like every 3 months, right? If you're already paying
Hmm.
for it, why not use what you already have? Another resource is that there are community, what do they call them? I can't think of it right now, but like community centers that they have.
Yeah, like the community outreach.
Yes, that's the word, Miss Nexie. Community outreach, where they have, where you can go and like all of the people in the community volunteer their services, therapists, behavioral specialists, like respite care. And I can speak for myself. I don't speak for Miss Nexie, but I am very big on respite care, especially if you are a caregiver, if you're a parent, a sibling. You're taking care of other people. You also, as a part of your healing journey, need to give yourself the permission to say, "I need a break," and
Mm.
and
It,
that took me a long time in my healing journey to give myself the permission to say I'm not a bad person because I need time apart from the people that I love.
also, Miss Marlene, here in the state that I live in, They also have um, a statewide number that you can call for help on anything, on anything. From if you get if you don't have enough to pay your water, your gas, if you're not feeling well, if you're trying to unalive yourself, if you feel that you're frustrated and you need medical help, anything that you need that is not an emergency, right? Or it's not an urgent thing, that you're like desperate, you're sad, you're upset, you're again, you're not feeling well, and you feel that you need help. There's a number here in my state that you call, and they have, it's like a hotline, right? Like when you want to call the Unaliving hotline or whatever. This is actually very different. This one you can call and they will ask you what you need. It's kind of like a 911, but it's not a 911. And then you
Yep.
say, this is what I want, this is what I need. And then they refer you to county paid services if you don't have insurance, and they
Mm.
hear you, they listen to what your needs are, and then they try to guide you to the best person. They give you a number, two to three different phone numbers, addresses where people that you can talk to so that you can get the help that you need. You can call it at any time. It's 24/7, and
Mhm.
you don't have to have insurance. So and there's support groups in that community too. You know, there's in my community, there's people that have like just a parent support group. I have one, and you know, the people around my community with children with special needs, you know, we need someone to talk to that has the same, that is going through the same things that we are going through with our kiddos. They're different ages, whatever. We get together once a month, so there's this, you know, search and look for, and not, if you don't have the money, you don't have to say, I don't have the money, I cannot pay for it. Just try to see, you know, local resources. There's a lot of places that can help you with that.
Right. And Miss Nexie, and I didn't, and I also don't want for us to discount. Part of the healing journey is also making sure we're taking care of our physical, our mental, our financial. We're taking care of us because a lot of times during the trauma, we have neglected ourselves. Sometimes because of our mental state of mind that we're not thinking properly, so we neglect ourselves, or because of maybe financially we can't afford things, we neglect ourselves. So there are resources out there to help us no matter what your income is, whether it's food, you need mental health, you need whatever, you need a job, you need like friends, you need to hang out, support groups, like Miss Nexie said. There's many things to help us, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever is your situation. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation so badly was because many of us suffer, in silence. I don't. Oh, I don't have enough money, so I don't have enough money to pay for a gym, or I don't have enough money to pay for somebody for a babysitter. But you're on the brink of snapping. But if you
Hmm.
would, sometimes it means that we have to humble ourselves and eat a little bit of humble pie and say, I do need help, and it's nothing
Hmm.
wrong for help. And, please don't be like me and like how I grew up. Like, oh, I don't need anybody's help. I can do this on my own. Nobody can do a healing journey on your own. And I'm not saying to depend on toxic people to help you. I mean, get healthy support, especially your tax dollars have paid for so many of these resources. So have at it.
Exactly, Miss Marlene. Exactly. And you know, there's ways that and you're right, you know, sometimes when we try to, you know, at least I did when I was in my healing journey, I will ask, help and sometimes talk to people that weren't in the best mental health. And I will get this feedback that sometimes will make me even more depressed than I already was. So you're right, Miss Marlene. We have to be careful on who we ask for help. We have to make sure that they're professionals and that it's a reputable place, not the same people that have probably inflicted us with whatever it is that we have going on in our little heads, right? And you don't need to be ashamed or embarrassed or anything like that to ask and seek the help that you need.
Yeah. And that's the important thing, to say to ladies and gentlemen, both genders, all genders.
Hmm.
If you need support, you need support. And we have to stop waiting for people that we know to change because some of them will never change. They will
Hmm.
never grow. They will never care. They will never support. All they're going to keep doing is inflicting pain on you. So it's important that we elevate ourselves and to say, I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve, to be supported and loved. And if people who are around me cannot give me what I need, then I'm going to have to get the resources. I'm going to have to get the therapy and the support and whatever it is that you need in your situation. We all know what we need, but don't think, oh, because I don't have it financially or mentally or having physical support that I can't be helped. You have to advocate for yourself. And that's one of the things that I am so proud that therapy has taught me, that it's okay to not have everything together, not have everything
Hmm.
together and tied up with a bow. We're not perfect. We've all had something that has been heavy on our heart. But what is the important thing is that we give ourselves the permission to say, I can do better, or I can
Hmm.
learn, I can get support. And I didn't understand, Miss Nexie, that when I started going to a support group, that I was helping not only myself, but you help other people because when you share your experiences, you make other people feel like, oh, I'm not the only one. Oh, so I'm not crazy. This happens to other
Hmm.
people.
Yes,
It,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
for me, that was the first time like I actually felt seen and heard being around people who were like, that happened to me too. And that's not all right. Like for like the first time in my life, I felt like normal because sometimes
Not alone.
yeah, not alone because sometimes the people that we were raised around that had these broken mindsets, very toxic, immature, jealous, the full gamut, right? And we
Mm.
have to face of realization that I can't make them do the right thing, but I am choosing to be healthier in every aspect. And you got to put in the work by searching for what you want and allowing yourself to do the work, the therapy. That's why this is a healing journey, because it's not just going to happen like, oh, I want to do better, and then it happens. It takes years to come to the space having the head knowledge, but making application in my life. Like for me, saying things like, I love myself. And because I love myself, I will not always make myself available. I'm going to set those boundaries. I will communicate. I will tell people when they're being rude, or I just won't show up to things that I know will affect my mental health. because I love myself. So, just a few things. And when this live is over, I'm going to put some resources in the description box that will probably be helpful to all of my loved ones. Things in the community. If you live in the United States, I'm going to try to do like some hotline phone numbers that you can get resources. But in my area, I believe it's 211 that gives resources like Miss Nexie was talking about here. That's
Yeah,
what we
same
have.
here.
Yeah.
It's the same here, Miss Marlene. It's the 211. You can just, talk to them. Just tell them exactly how you're feeling, and they will be able to help you. They will be able to redirect you to the right person or to the right group or to the right physician, whatever, or therapist, whatever it is that you need. They can do that. They'll be able to do that because that's what they do. That's what they do. They're there for help.
Mhm. Yeah, Miss Nancy, and we're saying this for all aspects. If and like I always like to say before I end lives, I forget sometimes to say it, but if you feel unsafe, like you're maybe where you're living right now, it's not safe. You know, you're being physically, emotionally, financially abused in one form or the other. There are resources out there to help you so you can get out, so that you can be treated better. You don't have to take what maybe the control and all of those things that we get a lot of times being verbally, emotionally, sexually, financially abused. We don't have to keep taking that. That's why this channel was made. And I'm so grateful now. I feel like it's finally coming together. The reason why I have this channel, and I can see how this channel can grow into different avenues because people need support.
We all do.
And I'm not ashamed to say things happened to me in my past, but I'm not perfect. And I want you guys also as well to give yourself the permission that whatever it is that has happened to you, for you to seek help and for you to tap into those resources. If I can help in any way, that's why this channel is here. Check out previous live streams and videos where I talk about different things. And if this isn't the space, maybe if it's not me, maybe it's something Miss Nexie says or something somebody says in the chat. This is a community of helping for a healing journey. So it may not be from me, maybe it's from Realist, or maybe it's from Sirius, or somebody else that is here in this loved ones community that will help to contribute to your healing journey. So, what is important to me is that each of us gets there and stays there and not stays in
Yes.
the city. That's very important to me.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself, Miss Marlene. The most important thing for me as well is that you have a safe space here where you can ask for help. Anything that you need, we can, we're here to listen. Have questions, we're here to answer them if we can. And I'm very grateful, Miss Marlene, that I'm part of your healing journey too, and of this
Thank,
channel. I'm
thank you.
really, really grateful for that.
Yeah, and we're back. We're back, everybody. We're back. And I am looking forward to some new things. I'm going to talk to Miss Nexie about some. We're going to be bringing some new things because Miss Nexie, I know you're not going to believe it, but I think this is our 96th episode.
Oh my Lord. Already?
Yeah. So
Oh
yeah, we only have
God.
4 episodes, and we're going to be on the 100th episode. And I feel like doing something special for the 100th episode. But we're going to talk about it on the back end, and then we'll reconvene and tell you guys. But I feel like we should do some sort of celebration, something different. I don't know. We're going to see because we're trying to elevate the sip and chat this year, do some different things. So we'll see how it goes. But you guys feel free to check out previous sip and chat episodes. I feel like the sip and chats are getting better. I don't know about you, Miss Nexie, but I feel like the sip and chats are getting better. And
Yes.
enjoying them. So I want to thank everybody who showed up today. Thank you so much for your support, all the comments, all those who have subscribed to the channel, those who sent gifts, super chats, cash apps to the channel. It goes right back into the channel. And I really appreciate everything that you guys do. And I always wish you guys a happy healing journey. Miss Nexie, anything you want to say in closing?
Um, just that, we're here again, like restating what this Marlene already said. We're here for you to share as well. We're sharing our journey, our healing journey, and hopefully you guys will feel, okay by sharing yours. And it's a new year. We have set up different goals, Miss Marlene and I, when it comes to our healing journey for this year. But I hope that you guys also set a few little goals and create a nice 2026, a better 2026, better than 2025 for you. And this is the beginning of the year, is when we can make those resolutions. And hopefully, with us here in the Sip and Chat and you guys listening to us, we can make it happen. We can make it better.
Yes,
And let's
that's
heal, everybody. Let's heal together, because that's the way to do it. Don't heal alone. Heal with someone that understands and it's been in your shoes and knows how heavy those steps have been. So we're here for that. And happy 2026, everyone.
thank you so much. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, Ultra. I don't mind to say it. God is king. So I
Amen.
will always advocate for you guys to do what you personally want, but Marlene is always going to encourage therapy. I'm going to encourage you to get that spiritual support, whatever that looks like on your side, but as well, not discounting support groups and really good friendships. And the thing about it, if you don't have those things, it doesn't mean you can't get that. You can't find it. You have to seek and search until you get it, and not think that you're going to get it inside of people who have already not supported. So that's the conversation for today. We'll leave that there, and we'll on the next sip and chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for
Have a good
having me, Miss Marlene.
day. Miss Nancy. See you guys on the next one.